So that dua is Allahumma ghfir li dhanbi wa wassi'li dari wa barik li fi rizqi. So there's three phrases to it. They're very simple. It is, "O Allah, forgive my sins, expand for me my abode, and bless me in my rizq." So some of the scholars have actually brought this dhikr, this particular supplication, in the supplications of wudu. Meaning while you are making wudu, this is one of the du'as that is to be recited. Like Imam Nawawi in his Adhkar and Imam An-Nasi in his book Amal Yawm wal Layla, they have mentioned either, they have argued whether it's before wudu, during wudu, or after wudu. But if you take any of these practices, that is perfectly fine. So this is a very simple, short, sweet dua, and it will have a lot of benefits and outcome, especially if you finish your wudu. By the way, when you finish wudu, what are you supposed to say? Before that, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma ja'alni min at-tawwabin wa ja'alni min al-mutatahhirin. And if you could add this dua, especially for your rizq, that's another very beautiful thing to do. On Saturdays we go over what are the sababs that you can take, what are the active means that you can take through which rizq is expanded. So just one more thing to add, since we're talking about wudu. If you are constantly in a state of wudu, there is blessings in rizq as well. So like, for example, if you're in your workplace, if you're in your business, and you try your best to stay in a state of wudu, right? That's another way to bring blessings within rizq. So inshallah, if you would like, you could repeat this dua after me, and hopefully you can get to learn this today or put it in practice, or at least once you have repeated the words of Prophet ﷺ. So Allahumma ghfir li dhanbi wa wassi'li dari wa barik li fi rizqi. So I forgot to go over the meanings of it. Allahumma ghfir li dhanbi is very easy, right? Which means, "O Allah, forgive all my sins. Wa wassi'li dari," expand for me my abode. So now here abode is referring to the abode of this dunya and the abode of the hereafter. So you are asking Allah for a physical and a metaphorical expansion of the place that you have, either through by giving you qana'a with what you have to be content and satisfied, and expanding that, and more so the abode of the hereafter, you are asking Allah to multiply that and to increase that for you. And then وَبَارِكْ لِي فِي رِزْقِي, put barakah in that rizq. Now this concept of barakah is a very interesting thing. Subhanallah, two people may have the same amount of money, but one may have barakah in that money and other may not. Okay? It works in amazing ways. For some people, that $100 become a lot, and for some other people, that $100 becomes very little. That's barakah. Like, you can't explain that, right? Even though from outside it's the same number, but the value of it and the aspect of barakah is something that makes it very, very unique. And every rizq that we try to get, we ask Allah to put barakah in that rizq. So as I promised, inshallah, today we will go over zakat questions. Before we do this session, open it for question answers. I will just go over a brief method and concept of zakat and how to calculate zakat, and I'm sure from that you guys will have a lot of questions. So the first thing that comes to zakat, inshallah, we're going to start from the very beginning, right? The first thing that comes to zakat is you need to have a yearly due date, okay? So whether that yearly due date is Ramadan, Muharram, Rajab, any other month, you need to have a yearly due date. There's due date for taxes, right? So anyway, so you need to have a yearly due date. And that due date should be something on a lunar calendar, not on a Gregorian calendar, right? Sometimes people are like 31st December, right? Which is good, but then, there are days which are short, so there are less number of days in a lunar calendar as compared to Gregorian calendar, and in a span of 30 years, 1 year is added. So whether that your due date, let's say hypothetically, is 1st of Ramadan, on that 1st of Ramadan, you will look at your wealth and you will look at your zakatable assets. Zakatable assets are those things upon which zakat is due on. So this includes a person's bank balance, their stocks, their crypto, and all their investments. So whatever the values of those things are, you will add every single thing of that. And there are some things which there's dispute over. Inshallah, we'll go over that in a minute. And there are some things which, there's no zakat on it. So basically, whatever is considered to be, you have to give zakat on, you calculate all of that. Then you deduct all your debts and liabilities from it, right? Again, those which qualify for zakat. And then whatever balance that you're left with, if that balance is more than nisab, which is threshold, then you have to pay 2.5% of it. If it is less than nisab, then you do not have to pay anything. Now, there are two ways to measure nisab. One is through gold, and the other is through, you guys know this, right? Silver, right? So in today's day and age, the price of gold for nisab is almost $14,000. All right? And the price for silver is around $1,700. And there's a huge disparity between these two things. So, in the day and age that we're living, especially in this part of the world, while you are calculating zakat, try to do it with the nisab of gold, with the metric of gold. And basically, as I said, you take your zakatable assets, all the things which you have to pay zakat on, you minus your debts, and the number that you're left with, if it's greater than 14,000, then you pay 2.5% on that. And others, like for example, if you're going by silver, if it's more than 1,700, then you pay a zakat on it. Now, this is just the basic framework of how it works. Now, what are the things that you have to give zakat on? What are things which are disputed? And what are the things that you don't have to give zakat on? So as I mentioned, all forms of liquid assets like cash that you have, plus your investments like stocks and cryptos, that is something that you have to give zakat on. One of the things which is disputed is gold and silver. All right? So if you have gold and silver with the purpose of investment, then you have to give zakat on it. The only thing which is of dispute is if sisters have gold for jewelry. Can men have gold for jewelry? Okay. All right, good to clarify that, right? It's haram for men to wear gold. So if sisters have gold for jewelry, according to three imams, there is no zakat on it. According to Imam Hanifa, there is zakat on jewelry as well. So easy way, they will calculate gold and silver, they will weigh it, and whatever today's price is, let's say they own 100 grams of gold, 50 grams of gold, they will calculate that price equivalent to that, and they will factor that into zakat. There's zakat on investment land as well. You have bought some farmland, you have bought any piece of land for the purpose of selling it, whatever that value of that land is, that's also zakatable. Now, there is no zakat on rental property, but there is zakat on rental income. So what does that mean? For example, it's your zakat due date, you have a rental property, it's worth $500,000, right? You don't factor in those $500,000, but you are getting a $2,000 rent on it. So at the end of the year, whatever that rent has come, let's say it has come 24,000, 30,000, whatever the total income is, the zakat will be applicable only on that portion. But in comparison to that, as I mentioned, let's say you have investment property, which is $500,000. It's not on rent. It's just sitting there for investment for you to flip. You will have to pay zakat on that $500,000. Another thing that to keep in consideration, and this is something which is a contemporary and a lot of people ask this question is, what about the 401k plans and the retirement plans? So there are basically three opinions to that. All right, there are three opinions to that. First opinion is there is no zakat on it. You don't pay zakat on it at all. Meaning the time at the age of 59 and a half or 60 years old, when you cash in that 401k, you will pay zakat on all of it at once at that time. The second opinion is you pay zakat on all of the value of whatever your balance is in your retirement accounts, you pay zakat on it. That's a very weak opinion. The third opinion, which is more preferred by a lot of scholars right now, is whatever the value of your 401k account is or your retirement accounts are, today you will figure out, let's say it's your zakat due date, you will figure out if I cash in all these things that I have at my in my accounts, if I were to cash them out, if I were to make them liquid today, what is the value that I will be left with after taxes and penalties and all of that? So, and then zakat will be due only on that, because that is something you have today access to. So for example, just a hypothetical number, someone has $100,000 in their 401k account, right? And today, if they were to cash out after penalties and all of that, they may be left with like $15,000, okay? So zakat will be on how much? 15,000, not $100,000. All right, so that's how you will calculate that zakat. So as I mentioned, the issues of dispute is upon jewelry, right? And then these investments, especially which are tied and which are not liquid. But that does not apply to stocks or the crypto that people have, right? That is whatever the value of your stock portfolio is today or your crypto wallet is today, that will be taken into account to give all of that zakat on it. Another thing is those who have businesses, there's something called zakat on merchandise. So whatever the inventory that is being contained right now, you have to pay and you have to factor that into zakat. That is also zakatable. There's no zakat on the houses that you're living in. There's no zakat on the cars that we have. There's no zakat on, let's say we have some sort of machinery or something like that. There's no zakat, let's say a person has an office building that is being used for services or is being rented out. There's no zakat on that building, but there is zakat on that rent and those services and the revenue that the business is generating, okay? But if someone has actual merchandise which they have the intention to sell, you will take into factor the amount of that merchandise and will have to pay zakat on it. Now, there are some common misconceptions when it comes to debts, when it comes to loans. So there are two types of loans. So, sorry, let's talk about debts first. One is a type of thing that I have lent some money to someone, right? And they will pay me back. There's good hopes that they will pay me back. So you will not deduct that. So for example, like let's say I have $50,000 that belong to me. Out of those $50,000, I have given $10,000 to a brother, and he will pay me back after a year or 2 years or 3 years. So do I have to give zakat on 40,000 or all of 50,000? All of 50,000, right? Because I have hope that will come back. But let's say that 10,000 is lent, and there's no hope that I don't think like that's going to come back to me. All right, there is a specific term in Sharia for this. Then you don't factor in that money. Okay. Another common question is, I have about $15,000 that I'm putting aside for Hajj. You still have to pay zakat on it because that is still savings. You still haven't bought the package yet. Another type of debt a person has, sometimes people have mortgages and car loans and whatnot. So for that, the modern day fatwas are that you will deduce your yearly money that you owe. So for example, if your mortgage is $2,000 a month, right? It's not like for like 25 years you're not going to pay zakat because you're always in debt, right? So if you owe, let's say, $2,000 a month, you multiply that by 12, and the amount is 24,000. So you will deduce only that yearly amount of money that you owe to the bank or you owe to the car dealership, right? Those are the debts that you can take out and minus and subtract, and there will be no zakat left on that, okay? Inshallah, we're going to go into the last part, which is where to give zakat. But before we do that, there's another very common concern and questions people have is, let's say I put some money aside for my kids for their college fund. Do you guys have to pay zakat on that or not? So the answer is, there's just this caveat to it. If you have transferred ownership of that money to your children, meaning that this is now not in my ownership, this will permanently belong to my children, right? Then there will be no zakat on it as long as they are pre-pubescent. But once they hit puberty, zakat will be on them, and they will be the ones who have to pay that zakat. Similarly, sometimes some people, they say, I'm putting money aside for wedding of my children or my daughter, right? Again, you have to determine whose ownership is that money under, all right? If that is something that you are setting aside, that you will spend, it's under your ownership, then you have to pay zakat. But if you have transferred this under the ownership of your children and they're pre-pubescent, then there will be no zakat on that money. Another very common question is, do husbands pay zakat for their spouses? Like you'd say your spouse has jewelry, right? Or she has gold and silver. Is the husband obliged to pay that zakat? The answer is no. The wife must pay that zakat. If the husband does it, that's fine, well and good for him. But this is an obligation, individual obligation. And another thing, this is where determining ownership is very important. Is that jewelry husbands or wives, right? So for example, like some cultures, husband owns everything, and they're like, okay, you know what? I'm lending you to borrow you, and you're just wearing this and using it, right? So in that case, husband is obliged. But if that is under ownership of the wife, meaning she can sell that jewelry, she can do whatever that she wants with that jewelry, then she is obliged to pay that zakat. All right. Now, last part, let's say you have calculated your zakat. Who do you give your zakat to? As you have been coming here, like, you know, especially before Ramadan, we did a few halaqas. I strongly encourage to give zakat to individuals, not organizations. All right? Give zakat to individuals, not organizations. All right, there's multiple reasons for that. First of all, we know in Surah Tawbah, Allah mentioned, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ. It's for the poor people and the needy people. Look within your own families. Look within your siblings. Zakat cannot be given to your fathers, parents, and grandparents, to your children and grandchildren. Zakat can be given to your siblings. Zakat can be given to your uncles. It can be given to your cousins. It can be given to your second cousins. So first of all, look within your broader families. I can guarantee every person who's sitting here must have a family member in their wider circles, or a friend they know, or an acquaintance they know, who is deserving of zakat. That's your right. You got to take care of that. Allah says, وَآتِ ذَا الْقُرْبَى, like help your relatives, pay to those people. They are the most deserving, right? So if every person takes the care of the people around them, it becomes easier. Another thing is, subhanAllah, sorry, I just forgot. So when you take care of the circle of people within your sphere, the societies become more stronger and the families become more stronger. They're less dependent upon organizations and countries to bail them out and to help them. And then, if you do not know anyone, there are so many poor people in the world. Why don't you know a poor person? Okay? Like, that shouldn't come, right? Like, you should know people directly who are accessible to you, who you can give zakat to. But nonetheless, if that's not an option, you pay to the organization, do your due diligence, that organization is credible, they will give 100% of your zakat money to the recipients. All right? That is on you to do, right? That's not like, oh, I just give zakat and that's fine, I will take care of it. You as a consumer cannot have a blind eye on this, right? You do so much research for other stuff. This is your akhirah that we are talking about. Do your research, which organization you trust and you think they are handling the money of zakat credibly, give it to those organizations then, inshallah, and support them. Now, another very common concern that comes with zakat is, one of the key elements of zakat is transfer of ownership. Okay? Transfer of ownership. So this means zakat cannot be given for social welfare projects. What it means is when you transfer of ownership, let's say there is a poor person, they need money for their treatment, right? You can pay for that treatment, right? That is transferring that money to that specific cause. You can pay zakat in food, right? You can pay zakat in paying someone's rent, in paying someone's utilities. All that is permissible, right? Let's say you have to pay zakat, you have to pay like $250 worth of zakat, and you go buy food and you distribute that food to the zakat recipients. That's perfectly fine, right? But to give zakat for, let's say, okay, let's build a bridge, let's build a well, that will not be permissible. So, those are the general things to keep in consideration. I'm sure all of you will have a lot of questions right now. Okay, questions? Yes. One at a time. About what? Yeah, just there's the only difference is about jewelry. That's the only difference. But everything else is same. All right. Yes, we'll go with you. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. Yeah. So on your zakat due date. Yeah. So on your zakat due date. So the question is, stocks go up and down. On your zakat due date, whatever that due date is for you, right? That means entire year passes. On that due date, you look at the value of that stock, and you pay zakat on that. Okay. It's not like at the buying price you pay zakat, okay? Go ahead.
Explain this again, because you said you calculate by gold.
Yeah.
Should be like a certain amount of gold? Or
Yeah.
value?
So it's around 85 grams of gold, right? In today's day and age, it's around equivalent to $14,000. All right, go ahead. No, not 3 imams. This is a modern day issue. There are 3 modern opinions. As I said, last opinion, go with that one. The last one, which is take the deductions that will be all the deductions out, and whatever you will be left with today, pay zakat on that today. Okay? Yes?
The question about the rental income. The rental income going into the mortgage. So we can do the same thing, like multiply all the yearly mortgage.
Yeah.
And whatever it's left.
So you will cancel that out. Yeah, if that is going into your mortgage, then you cancel out one with the other. Yes, bro. That's a great question. You don't need to let them know, all right? You do not need to let people know that, hey, this is zakat. You can give them the money, right? And you have done your own thing. That helps out a lot of people, yes. Yeah. So if they have not reached nisab, there is no zakat on it. That does not mean they don't give sadaqah. If they want to give charity, they can give charity. Yeah, so zakat, yeah, that's a good. Zakat and sadaqah are 2 different things. So in terms of obligation, it's not obligated upon them. All right? But if they give it, like for example, like if you look at the life of Prophet ﷺ, hardly ever zakat was obligated. He was in a situation where zakat was obligated on him. Okay? But he would give a lot of charity. He was the most generous in the month of Ramadan. Whatever came, he just gave. All right? Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah.
But if you take the money that every year you take, for example, I'm going to take 20,000, 5,000, which way you have to calculate?
So you're talking about those who are in the retirement age, right?
They are already fully retired.
Yeah.
If you take the money, you still have to pay a lot.
So no, in that situation, that money is accessible to you. All right? So that money, yes. Yeah, so exactly, right? So whatever wealth you have access to, you do have to pay zakat on that.
Point 4 something.
Yeah.
If you come to
Mm-hmm.
calculate that. I don't know if that is how it's.
Talk to your financial accountant, I guess. I can't answer all the questions. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Okay. Jazakallah. That's a great comment.